Looking back, the first television was invented in 1923 in a small town in England by John Logie Baird. We know that the screens of the first televisions were both very small and colorless. There are many useful devices that have entered our lives, but none of them has been as popular as television. Television is one of the indispensable gadgets for some of us. It is an important source of information and of course entertainment, where we can be informed as soon as possible about what is happening. In America, people spend an average of 6 hours a day just in front of the TV. Today, this usage is slowly shifting towards the internet and people's commitment to television is decreasing day by day. The first studies on television were started by John Logie Baird, and in 1920 for the first working example that could create the image was put forward concretely. But this television was operating with a purely mechanical system. The fact that TVs have become the tube, CRT, televisions we use today has been ensured by the studies that Philo Taylor Farnsworth laid the foundations for. For this reason, both names are mentioned as the person who invented the television. John Logie Baird. The invention of television, John Logie Baird, Philo Taylor Farnsworth. The history of television goes back nearly 80 years. Born and raised in Helensburgh, Scotland, on August 13, 1888, John Logie Baird was a boy who was very curious about electricity. He was lighting the whole house with electricity obtained from the oil-powered generator in the backyard of his house. This house also has the distinction of being the only house in the city that is illuminated in the evening. Baird, whose interest in electricity increased day by day, was able to talk to his friends outside by setting up a telephone exchange in his home. Although it had very limited capacity, installing such a power line at the age of 12 and making it work was not something everyone could achieve. Continuing his education at Glasgow and West of Scotland Technical College, Baird graduated from there as an electrical engineer. Continuing his education with a master's degree at Glasgow University, Baird had to take a break from his education during the First World War and applied to work in the army. However, his application was not accepted due to health problems. He later got a job at the electric company in the Clyde Valley. Baird, who worked here for a while, had to quit his job again due to health problems. Later, after working a few small jobs, he returned to his hometown of Sussex in 1922 and started a mechanic. Here, he started to work on the idea of carrying the image and sound that he dreamed of electronically, staying alone with himself in an environment free from chaos. Initially trying to make something with a simple sewing needle, a bicycle light and a piece of tin, Baird continues to work on this idea, which seems so outlandish to people, with increasing excitement. When he realizes that he cannot achieve much with the impossibilities he has, he moves to Soho, where he can reach technological opportunities more easily, and establishes a laboratory here. Here, he first succeeds in activating the mechanism that he has placed on a tea box and named televisor, consisting of a sewing needle, cut cardboard and biscuit box, and creates the image of the face on the side. The success of Baird, who received the first television patent in history on June 25, 1925, was met with great interest in a short time, and he introduced his invention, which he called the televisor, to the Royal Institute for the first time on January 26, 1928. Attempts to transfer the image electronically also yielded results, and a year later he succeeded in performing the first image transfer. In this way, he brought the first television station to life in 1929 and started to make television broadcasts by making an agreement with the BBC, which was broadcasting radio at that time. Broadcasting in a limited area regionally in the first place, the BBC officially began broadcasting in the United States and England in 1930. Broadcasting to 20,000 people in London, John Logie Baird reached the pinnacle of his career. John Logie Baird, who died on June 14, 1946, laid the foundations of the first known television. Later, the electromagnetic system of the television was changed by Philo Taylor Farnsworth and played a major role in becoming the tube televisions used today. But John Logie Baird will always be remembered as one of the inventors of television. Philo Taylor Farnsworth was born on August 19, 1906 in Utah, one of the western states of the USA. His father, Louis Edwin Farnsworth, moved to Idaho, USA, with his wife, Serena Bastion Farnsworth, and their son. Here Louis Edwin Farnsworth began to support his family by working as a maraba, a shareholder farm worker. After moving into their new home, Philo noticed the wired electrical system in the house and placed an electric motor on the manual rotating part of the washing machine to keep it running. Over time, young Philo's interest in electricity grew and he made the first phone call between home and out of state. Adopted by scientific authorities, Farnsworth returned to Idaho to help his family. There they met Elma Gardner Farnsworth and they were married in 1926. Later, Philo Farnsworth moved to California to continue his television experiments. Here Farnsworth was working on a practical camera called the image dissector. The mechanical television that Baird invented during this period contained many moving parts. Farnsworth worked hard to realize his dream of a fully electronic television, and Farnsworth's image dissector camera tube succeeded in transmitting its first image in 1927. However, the television still used a carbon spring lamp for lighting and contained mechanical parts. Farnsworth found a solution to this in 1929 and invented the television, which contained no mechanical parts. Philo Taylor Farnsworth patented this wonderful invention in 1930. In November 1936, Farnsworth moved to England and made a deal with John Logie Baird's company. In this way, the BBC television system was renewed and they got the image dissector camera. This camera has been given a very advanced structure and high contrast images have been obtained by adding electron multiplier to televisions. Farnsworth started the television camera with image dissector, whose working principle he had solved at the age of 14, at the age of 21. The camera technology invented by Farnsworth inspired tube CRT, cathode ray tube, displays. The real motion picture on television was thanks to Farnsworth and he contributed greatly to the making of tube screens. For this reason, the inventor of today's television is also known as Philo Taylor Farnsworth. How it works. All of the tube televisions available today have a technology called CRT, cathode ray tube, cathode ray tube. The rendering system in these screens can be defined as putting together hundreds of thousands of light bulbs. Because the surface of CRT screens consists of hundreds of thousands of small dots. These are called pixels. Because each pixel is individually illuminated and each can produce a different color, the burning of pixels in a particular pattern is the source of image formation. CRT displays are cone-shaped. At the narrow and pointed end of the cone is the electron gun. The widening mouth of the cone takes the shape of a rectangle and this part is covered with a layer of phosphorus. The terms called anode and cathode refer to positive and negative poles in electronics. If we take a battery as an example, the positive terminal would be the anode and the negative terminal would be the cathode. In CRT screens, the cathode is in the form of a heated filament, thin wire, in the electron gun. The inside of the tube is a vacuum environment, so there is no air. With the heating of the cathode filament, the electrons are able to move freely in the vacuum and due to the voltage difference with the anode screen surface, the electrons are thrown towards the screen by focusing a beam of light. Electrons hitting the phosphor layer on the screen surface shine and illuminate the pixels. Color is created for each point of the screen by means of horizontal and vertical deflection coils around this created beam. Beams of light are emitted from the electron gun in three primary colors. These are the red, green, and blue colors known as RGB colors. All intermediate colors in nature can be produced by mixing these colors. A 100% mixture of these colors creates white, and no light is sent, that is, black and darkness. All other secondary colors are obtained by mixing these primary colors in different proportions. As the beam is sent to the phosphor layer on the screen, they pass through a perforated shadow mask. This mask ensures that the beam hits only the places where its color is desired. Each pixel on the screen is divided into 3 subpixels, and a beam of electrons passing through the shadow mask with very fine adjustment illuminates the subpixels individually. As a result, the main pixel reflects the color formed by the combination of the subpixels and that color appears on the television screen. Since this event is done at a very high speed in thousands of times per second, the received TV signal enables real-time image formation on the screen. Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe my channel, support me. Goodbye.